All right, today we're diving into ARTIS, the oldest zoo in the Netherlands. Now, on the surface, it's this beautiful, historic spot right in the middle of Amsterdam. But it's also at the center of a really big debate. In this day and age, what should a zoo actually be? So, let's get into it. This quote just hits the nail on the head. It perfectly sums up the feeling about ARTIS. It's a place people absolutely love, but it also raises some serious questions. So, how does an institution that's been around for nearly 200 years handle the challenges of the modern world? Well, let's find out. Okay, first things first. To really get what ARTIS is all about, you have to appreciate its incredible history. This isn't just a place with animals. It's woven right into the cultural fabric of Amsterdam itself. Check this out. It was founded way back in 1838. In a really sad moment, the very last quagga on the planet, a kind of zebra, died right here in 1883. And then, during World War II, the zoo became a sanctuary, hiding about 250 people from the Nazis. That history of change continues right up to today, with a brand new, amazing lion habitat that just opened last year. Here's a number for you, 27. That's how many protected national monuments are on the zoo grounds. We're talking everything from old bridges to the stunning aquarium building that dates all the way back to 1882. When you're there, you are literally walking through history. And you really feel that. It's less like a typical zoo and more like you've stumbled into this perfectly preserved 19th century park. You've got these gorgeous botanical gardens, historic buildings, winding paths. It's this quiet little bubble of nature in the middle of a super busy city. And that charm is a huge, huge part of its identity. But, and yeah, there's a but, that charm has a shadow side. So now we've got to get into the more difficult questions that come with all that history. And this really gets to the heart of it. Can all this beauty and history make up for potential problems with animal welfare today? The answer, well, it's not simple. And to really understand it, you have to look at the ideas that these kinds of zoos were built on in the first place. See, ARTIS was founded during the colonial era, and it was built on an ideology that some critics call species thinking. Basically, it's this old idea that humans are at the top of the pyramid and that nature and animals are just things for us to collect, study, and display. And you can still feel the echoes of that mindset in the older parts of the zoo. And that historical baggage has very real consequences today. This quote from our review just pinpoints the zoo's single biggest challenge. Because while a lot of the zoo has been updated, the homes for some of its most intelligent animals are still a major source of criticism. And the problems are specific. The gorilla and chimp enclosures are called outdated and just way too small. The mandrills, these are rainforest animals, remember, are kept in a bare concrete pit that was originally built for polar bears. The sea lion pool isn't up to modern standards, and even the jaguar area, which looks impressive, is considered pretty small for such big cats. These are the uncomfortable truths the zoo is dealing with. Which brings us to the next chapter of this story. Because ARTIS isn't just sitting back and accepting these problems. Far from it. The zoo is right in the middle of a massive long-term transformation to try and fix its past and build a very different future. And if you want to see that change in action, just look at the lions. The old enclosure was, well, it was a cramped cage. So bad that it was kind of shocking to see. But the new habitat they opened in 2023, whoa. It's this huge, brilliant space designed to look like the savannah with a tunnel that lets you walk right through the middle of it. The difference is just night and day. And it's not just the lions. For the elephants and giraffes, they've quadrupled the amount of space they have. Think about that. 4 times the room. They connected the old, smaller yards to these huge new areas, which has got to be a complete game changer for them. But maybe the most ambitious project of all is the restoration of that giant, historic aquarium. For years, leaking saltwater was literally destroying the 140-year-old building from the inside. So in 2021, they started this massive, multi-year renovation, not just to fix it, but to completely modernize it. Their goal is to make it the most sustainable aquarium in the entire country. And the scale of this is just, wow. The aquarium project alone has a reported budget of 48 million euros. This is so much more than a facelift. It's a fundamental investment in redefining what the entire institution is all about. And that redefinition goes way beyond just the animal enclosures. ARTIS is really evolving from being just a zoo into a much broader center for science, nature, and education. Take microbiopia, for example. It's on the ARTIS campus, and it's the world's first and only museum dedicated to the invisible universe of microbes. How cool is that? It's a really bold move to expand what we think of as nature to include all the microscopic life that shapes our world. Right next to it is the Groot Museum. This place was actually closed for 75 years, but they've reopened it and completely reimagined its mission. Now it's all about exploring the deep connections between us humans and every other living thing, moving way past those old ideas of human dominance. The zoo's work also goes far beyond its own gates. ARTIS is part of 86 international breeding programs for endangered species, and it supports 14 different conservation projects all around the globe. They're making a strong case for being a real hub for global conservation. So when you add it all up, a whole new picture of ARTIS starts to emerge. It's a place for scientific research, a place for cosmic perspective in its planetarium, and a major educational center for over 140,000 students every year. The goal is clearly to be much, much more than just a place to see animals. So, after all that, where do we land? What is ARTIS becoming, and what does it tell us about the future of zoos everywhere? What we've seen is an institution caught between two worlds. It is absolutely a beautiful historic park, and at the same time, it's a place with some really outdated enclosures. It's a place that's finally acknowledging a difficult past while pouring a ton of money into building a more ethical and educational future. And that leaves us with this huge question, one that goes way beyond Amsterdam. In a world where wild spaces are shrinking, what is the role of a zoo? Is it a prison built for our entertainment? A living museum for a world that's disappearing? Or is it a modern-day ark for conservation? As the story of ARTIS shows us, the answer is still being written.